Fired up for Tuesday. Let's see what we can get into this afternoon with news developing all around us, as can be the case in the afternoons here on the show. We'll be here till 6 o'clock calling the shots and telling you what we think about it and taking your phone calls as always. As we get started there, let me throw this in there. The forecasters for our weather next week are getting some, I guess, consensus that Monday could be a pretty stormy day. We're kind of right now shaded in yellow for most of the listening area for Monday. Don't have an exact timing on that, but the sort of spooky part of it is that's April the 27th. So just a day that will be in infamy here around Alabama since 2011. But anyway, we've got the whole rest of the week to refine that forecast and figure out what the forecaster is going to be telling us about it and act accordingly. I think we've been pretty lucky. We've gotten almost all the way through the month of April without a whole lot of severe weather whatsoever. But it is in the forecast. A little heads up on that for next week. Of course, Iran is the front and center news story, as you would expect, until this thing is completely over. It's fits and starts and this weird ending to the whole thing. So right now it looks like the peace talks maybe, and some folks are just calling it a limbo, as Trump has put this self-imposed, well, I guess U.S.-imposed deadline on the Iranians to get it together, or we're going back to doing our thing. And so the Iranians are just playing these games as they tend to do without a single piece of leverage, except for threatening the Strait of Hormuz. And most folks believe they really don't have the power to shut the strait. But when you're dealing with commerce, they're not going to take that chance. So the threat alone is all they need, which is interesting to watch unfold. So Trump is extending these, not extending the deadlines, but extending the threats, and the deadline looms. No indication that he wants to move it. Sometimes they'll throw him a bone and offer something, and then he goes, okay, I'll give you 5 more days. But I think that kind of stuff's over. Our troops have had a time to rest up, put on fresh socks, watch some movies, call home, and get ready to go. We have rearmed every ship. We've increased our military presence in the region, and now we are in the strait with our destroyers. So they really don't have a card to play, but they're going to keep doing this stuff. And then, again, it's because we're dealing with a fractionalized government. You've got one group that wants to make an agreement, another group that denies the agreement, and they're sort of fighting with each other behind the scenes. We sort of got to figure out who can make a deal. I mean, who can we talk to, or who do we need to shoot next? So here we go. So Vance, I thought Vance was already on his way yesterday. The way it was reported, he was on his way to Islamabad, but he didn't leave, and he hasn't left. And as of just a few minutes ago, the White House says he's not heading there. His trip is on hold until we get some certainty that the Iranians are going to show up. We don't want to send our VP to an empty table. The Iranians said they were coming, then they said they weren't, then they changed their delegation. I don't know that they know what to do, but it's probably wise not to send J.D. Vance out ahead of all that. So here he is, J.D. Vance this afternoon. He's like the Clash. He's like, should I stay or should I go now? There you go. I was checking on you, AJ. And then, of course, the Iranians are, you dropped a bomb on me. We just doing the 80s today in this whole situation. Could you play the Gap Band later? That would be not. Oh, you know who died 10 years ago today?
Prince.
Yes, sir. I knew you would know. Prince. 10 years. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was doing my old school show on Sundays on our sister station, and I was playing the Prince song, and I just, Google, just kind of see what was going on with his estate and all the other stuff. And then I looked at the date, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Today is, I said Tuesday, but today marks 10 years since the passing of Prince. And I'm like, man, I can't believe it's been 10 years. That 10 years went by so fast.
You and I have been on the air. We were on the air together for Prince. We were on the air. Now, I'll never forget Prince because my baby sister called in crying. I was like, what? She's never called me before. She called the radio show crying, AJ. She was the biggest Prince fan. We were on the air for Michael Jackson. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. I take that back. That was right before you and I started the show.
Right.
I was doing some radio about that time. I remember talking about his death. Prince, of course, that was tough. Do you think? What do you think he'd be doing if he'd survived? Do you think he'd still be putting music out? The guy was he had a catalog that
of
hundreds of songs nobody ever heard. And his stuff would still be better than what these stupid kids are putting out today.
Oh yeah, he revolutionized like that Minneapolis sound, and I think he will still be doing music and touring. I think you definitely have a lot more show, and probably maybe even like a documentary on his life.
So he'd be in his 60s. I'm trying to think of how old he would be. I think, if I'm guessing right, I think he'd be 67 if he'd survived. How old was he when he died? Anyway, yeah, I mean, you got some of the older artists still out there trying to do it. It's harder on the singers. I saw Axl Rose trying to hit those high notes the other day. God bless him. Some folks criticize him. I'm like, just keep on trying, brother. Keep on singing your song. That was your song. Don't let these punks take your song. Some folks don't like that. Like, I gotta admit, David Lee Roth trying to do stunts on stage nowadays is not as impressive, even though he tries to fill it in and make it happen. Anyway, we got Squirrel talking about Prince in the middle of talking about war. So J.D. Vance hasn't gone anywhere. He may launch this afternoon. I don't know how far the flight is to Islamabad, and he'd be going on a big, giant, slow-moving plane. So it's at least a 13-hour trip. So maybe tomorrow we've got real negotiations. Maybe tomorrow we got bombs falling. The market seems to be taking in stride again today. Down, it was up early, down now, kind of staying close to even yesterday and today. Man, I got UFO stuff in the news. I got more Noah's Ark stuff in the news. I got Birmingham fluoride in the water in the news. We got things going down. What else we got? I did the Monday storms. Oh, one more thing about Iran. I didn't even get to this. We boarded another giant ship, this time out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So what we've told the Iranians is you're not going to get, and what that tells me is Trump is counting on the blockade more than the bombs right now. We're trying to enforce this blockade. And so there were two things that happened today that paint that picture. The blockade's being very, very effective on pressuring them even more so. They can hunker down. They expect bombs. But the running out of money really throws that regime, whatever's left of it, into turmoil. So it's already having an effect. They can't export oil. That's going to mess with the functionality of their rigs. We've talked about that a few days ago. But we seized a tanker that was floating around out in the middle of the Pacific, and it had something to do with a route near China. The Chinese, it appears, are trying to slip it under the radar. That was the boat boarding from yesterday where we disabled the ship. Apparently that boat had dual-use precursors for ballistic missiles that they were trying to get in to tramp up some kind of missile production underground during the midst of all this. They were trying to rearm too, it appears, and China basically has been caught trying to help them. So our Navy can be anywhere in the world very, very quickly, and our skill set to be able to stop and board these huge vessels, it's pretty impressive. And to watch these Marines running around on the surface of that giant ship as we took control of it. So the premise is the embargoes and various sanctions on various ships that are floating around in the world that are either there to produce money for the Iranian regime and or provide supplies for its war effort. And that is a legitimate wartime tactic. If it's a dual-use purpose and it is part of the war effort, it makes it a legitimate target. And in fact, the State Department today put out more sanctions on some specific individuals that are related to their missile industry. And I wondered, what's that about? And why sanctions now in the middle of all this shooting? I think that's about the ability to enforce the sanctions, because the sanctions are really just an indictment, basically, or a threat. And once under sanction, we can now monitor activity of some of these individuals and nab them under the guise of enforcing the sanctions. Does that make sense? So it appears to me the State Department is laying traps so that the United States military can go back to work. I don't know. I'm no expert on it, but I'm doing my best. That's what we do this afternoon. All right, let's go to Congress. Lord have mercy, they're all back in session. And today, the creep of today, the latest congressperson to be in trouble is this Sheila Sherfluris, whatever the hell her middle name is, McCormick from Florida. She got busted stealing $5 million in FEMA funds, apparently to enrich her own campaign. And maybe personally, I don't even know the details of what she did with the money, but she swindled $5 million out of FEMA. Think about this. The state of Florida deals with hurricanes. This fool steals FEMA money. So she waited to the last second. They were about to read the charges against her. There would be a vote potentially tomorrow to throw her out of Congress. She would be part of a very short list of congressional members to have been thrown out. You got to be pretty dug in to sit there and let them throw you out. But so she put a statement out that was kind of funny. She goes, "This is nothing but a witch hunt." And I thought to myself, sometimes in a witch hunt, they actually do find witches. So what I want to know is, where'd the money go? Can we get it back? Probably not. And what's the criminal penalty for that? These people just being able to step down or even to be kicked out and not face any really criminal punishment for stealing these government funds. I mean, it needs to be, they're never going to stop doing it unless there's real fear and real risk to these elected officials personally. If they understand the consequences and it's not just a shell game or pretending for it to be legal and walking up to the line, but they need to be facing some hard time. These are public funds. I think it would go a long way to build public trust if these people would go to prison. So she stepped down just minutes before the show started, avoiding the spectacle of being thrown out. One more political story just to get the table set for today, and that is this Virginia vote. I'm trying to get my head around it. I've got a simple understanding of the way Virginia is laid out. If you could almost divide the state in half, and the further west you go into the state of Virginia, the more conservative and or red that it is, and or I guess Republican that it is. The further east you go and north you go toward Washington, D.C. and the urban area, the suburbs in Virginia just outside of D.C., you get a heavily Democrat. These are a bunch of government parasites and some good employees mixed in that live in this area. You have a lot of military presence in Virginia as well along the coast near Norfolk. So, so the vote is today to ratify this really creepy plan that this creepy governor, she really is something else. Now, the good news about her is Virginia has a smart term limit on their governors. You can only serve one term and you're gone. Can you imagine maybe how much better the state of Alabama would be if we had that rule? Just take the last series of governors. Instead of having to sweat some of these scandals that we've had, they get 4 years, do what you got to be done, and you're out. Kay Ivey would have been gone 6 years ago. Well, maybe 4 years ago. I guess she might have survived that replacement term and then gotten 4 clean years. But instead, we're just sort of babysitting the seat and pretending to have an aggressive governor while everybody else outruns us. And here we go with a new governor's race heading into this year. But I'd love us to have a one-term situation. It'd keep these things from becoming a career for people. So back to Virginia for a minute. So you get all these anecdotal reports. Basically, it goes like this. Currently, the congressional districts in the state of Virginia, they have 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans. Under this governor's plan, which goes around the independent districting board. And by the way, Barack Obama is behind the scenes working everything he can for this because they're in a huge panic that Trump's going to keep a full Congress for the rest of this term. He is wiping out their agenda every single day. And so they really need Virginia to pull this to catch up to some of the other redistricting that's done. That redistricting was defensible. It cost Democrats some seats, but the maps were defensible. They made geographical sense. They made cultural sense and economic sense. This thing is it's a Frankenstein map. So the design is to take all those Democrats in Northern Virginia and spread them west and south into the Republican areas and draw the line so that it includes enough of them to potentially convert the state of Virginia to 10 Democrat seats, and only 1 seat could be considered reliably Republican, thus a pickup of 4 seats for the Democrats nationwide. So they're playing nationwide catch-up, which they call only fair, an even playing field, they call it, by screwing over a good portion of the voters. Virginia still, depending on who's running for election, it's a 50-50 state. Leans Democrat, but it's 50-50. And so about half the state would be disenfranchised and stuck with whatever Democrat voter. Now, on top of that, you've got this idea that the governor just signed this thing that gives up the right of Virginia voters to directly elect their electors to the Electoral College. They want to hand over the Electoral College, which, by the way, this is going to be tossed on a constitutional challenge. I'm 100% certain of it. There's no way this sticks. But right now it's the law. She signed it. And so that has been an affront to some independent Virginians and, of course, Republicans. So if you listen to people on the ground like Glenn Youngkin, who's on my screen right now making his case, and others, there's been a huge surge of voters in the western part of Virginia where the Republicans live today. It's like presidential level turnouts. And they always say that. I've seen that at my own polls. We're like, I've never seen this many people. I had to wait in line. And then the election doesn't turn out like you want. So that's merely anecdotal. And the polls, as far as polling, it has been razor thin in the polling. I tend to think the Democrats have an edge here. But a point I haven't considered, and this goes back to this concept that all politics is local, and you have to give over to that. You can't use your own judgment, especially in a state you don't live in. I see people do that about politics here in Alabama. They'll analyze a race and miss everything that we knew on the ground. So we're not in Virginia. We don't know the temperature of the voters. And right now, voters are pissed at this governor. Even a lot of Democrats have buyer's remorse because she flipped the script on all of them. You remember she came out of the gate and started hiking taxes on dog walkers and people of modest income with their tax plan. Instead of, quote, going after the billionaires like they always promise, she did the same thing Mondami did. These people lied their ass off in the Democrat Party to get, well, they all do, but they pretend to be moderate, lurch to the left the minute they get power and seize all the power they can. And she started doing this stuff. So the tax plan, the electoral college plan, and now this map have become embarrassing to some people that could vote for either party and or are not traditionally aligned with either party. And so it's going to be interesting if that's a factor. If all she gets for this plan are the hardcore true blood Democrats and those government workers up in the north and in the east that want this plan because they want the Democrats to have a national advantage. Otherwise, you've got Virginians that identify as Virginians that want to represent Virginia in their voting, and they may not like this. So the polls close at 7 tonight. I suppose it'll be right after we get off the air, and we'll have some numbers, I'm sure, to kick around tomorrow. And no matter which side wins, the Republicans and Democrats will be on television tomorrow with talking points to spin this as some kind of bellwether for the midterms. And even if the Republicans win this, you don't be fooled by that. It's not a bellwether for the midterms. This is an issue about Virginia. This is a very much an identity issue in their state as to what kind of state they're going to be when confronted with this absolute left-wing power grab. We'll see what they do. Watching that today, too. Any anecdotes, statistics, early exit poll numbers, or anything on these lines, we'll have that for you as well. All right, I see Daniel over here. Daniel, hang on. Let me get this break in here, and we'll get all fired up and ready to go this hour. 545-9950 is the phone number if y'all want to get in on the show. Let's go. Lead on live, Talk 99.5. Y'all stay tuned. All right, y'all, 225. Hey, we could do this all day, AJ.
I know.
545-99. I got a million of them. There's some Prince songs I don't like, though. Do you have that, like you have a favorite artist, but you get kind of tired? Like Van Halen. I hate Jump, man. I don't care if I ever hear Jump the rest of my life. There's this Led Zeppelin, Rock and Roll. I don't care if I ever hear that song again the rest of my life.
Right.
It's overdone. They've been overdone. Anyway, you got more lined up? We're going to do some more?
Oh, yeah. We're going to definitely play some more some Prince songs.
I mean, there's an old school Prince, too, like Controversy, I Want to Be Your Lover.
Yep.
There's some old stuff. That was my stuff. You look out. Don't play Darling Nikki, though. I think we get fired.
Yeah. Well, there's some songs I know I can't play.
Yowza. Hey, let's go to Daniel, and he'll get us going this on the phones before we get all the way to the bottom. Daniel, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, Leland?
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, I was checking out that story on Shafonic McCormick, whatever her name is. McCormick.
Yeah, McCormick, yeah.
Apparently, yeah, she has been indicted on criminal charges, and it just got postponed until 2027, but she's facing up to 53 years in jail.
Nice.
And it all stems from moving $5 million of FEMA money into her family-owned little business that was, 1,000% more than what that business ever should have even come close to making, and she squandered it all. So, yeah, she has been indicted. It's just all that got postponed. I don't know why, because this happened in 2025. Why it takes 2 years to get on the docket to get your butt locked up in jail?
Because you're in Congress. Yep, and you're a black female in that district and in Congress, and you get your case delayed. I'm seeing here. You got me to pull it back up. She bought herself a big old diamond ring with it. She's probably wearing it today when she resigned from Congress. There've been 5 or 6 Democrats over in Georgia to get. They've been 5 or 6 Democrats over in Georgia to get busted with this same kind of graft. This is the same thing Ilhan Omar was doing, trying to get an earmark to a restaurant. You tell me she's not getting a cut of that restaurant. So she was trying to get a $1 million earmark to a restaurant they were calling some kind of a medical training or treatment center or something. And it wasn't. It was a freaking restaurant owned by a bunch of her Somali buddies. We got to smoke this stuff out all over the place. Democrat, Republican, I don't care who's doing it.
Well,
let's catch them all.
That was just an auditing error. She's not really worth $30 million.
That's true. She changed it. Yeah, that's like, man, I didn't mean to.
Minor auditing error.
When I pulled the gun on that bank and stole the money, I didn't mean to steal that much. I put some of it back. That didn't get you out of it. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. She's being investigated too. That was one of the other things I came across. She is being investigated about that. One of the Republican senators is pushing for an investigation, and I think they're going to forensically audit her finances and find out exactly what's been going where and where it's all been coming from.
I want my money back. I don't care if she winds up working at a Waffle House for tips and we get all her tips. I want my money back. These people, I'm so tired of politicians getting away with just resigning. I said it the other day, if you're let's say a plumber, and you work hard in your business, but you go out and run somebody over with your car and you get a criminal charge, you don't get to quit your job as a plumber and get out of the charge. These people are thieves and should be treated as such.
All right, Daniel. I completely agree. It's absolutely disgusting. And so is that slush fund that these
no doubt
have access to pay people to be quiet.
The $17 million sex slush fund. All right, Daniel. Your call was kind of fading. We'll get back to it after the bottom of the hour. Here we go. Leland Live. If you are watching on the YouTube feed, you get to see me dance without actually hearing the music. That should be amusing. I can't help it, man. Prince is on. I got to break it off. Are you wiggling in there too, AJ?
Oh, yeah. I'm shaking my groove thing.
You got to shake your thing when Prince is on. All right. 10th anniversary of the Purple Yoda's demise. Okay. Let me talk about FloorTech. I'm so excited to add them to our lineup of sponsors. And I really mean that because I'm familiar with why these kind of products can tend to suck. Let me tell you about it. You ever coated a garage floor or wanted your garage floor coated or any concrete surface to make it look nice? For years, there have been these products out there and even professional companies that run around and do this stuff. But here's the truth. And I got a freaking lab class when I went over to FloorTech to get to meet them and figure out why are they different, why are they better. And I'd heard about the superior product, and I wondered, is it the installation? Are people putting it in wrong? It all comes down to ingredients. It's almost like when you're cooking, you put the good stuff in, you get the good stuff out. And that's what FloorTech does. A lot of the products that are out there, including the do-it-yourself kits and a lot of the professional companies, are thinned out with a solvent that makes them just not last. It's not durable. It cheapens the product, and you don't know it. When they put it down, it looks beautiful. And I did a project like this 15, 16 years ago on a house I owned. Turned out nice, but within 6 months, it started pulling up. Your tires get hot. You're out there driving around, you roll into the garage, and then you turn the tire when you're backing out, pulling in, and it'll pull the stuff straight up off the floor, and it's supposed to last. And then it also turns yellow, and it changes the entire look of the thing. The whole color can change, especially if you got a lighter, more neutral color. Well, FloorTech Concrete Coatings, you got to remember that name, FloorTech, T-E-K. These guys, Kevin and the guys, came up with a better product. They went to the lab and studied what was wrong with these products because they knew there was a huge industry for it, but they just needed better products. So they came up with a, I guess, bonding material. I'm using probably completely the wrong language, but their coating and the application, the way they put it down is meant to last. It will outlive you. It's not going to pull. It's not going to fade. They can demonstrate that to you in person at your home. Even whip a laptop out and let you pick your exact color scheme, including the main color and all the flake that goes in there. They call it chips, but I call it flake from back in the day. FloorTech is how you want to get this stuff done. This is a premium product handled locally. You can't do this yourself this way. And there's not another company that has their formula. Their formula has been lab tested to not fade and to dry quicker. Most installs are done in a day. It dries in 24 hours. You're back to using your facility, whatever it is. It can be a garage floor, an outdoor surface. They can do, if you've got a business and you want your showroom to be spruced up, maybe you've got a type showroom with this kind of flooring, or your business itself has a concrete floor. You're in maybe a metal building and you want to make the floor look nice. This is an amazing product. And once you put it down, you don't have those nasty oil stains. You're going to have spills. You're going to have problems. I was kidding around today in my barn. I got a couple of oil spots that drive me crazy. And I got a bunch of glow paint. AJ, that's from a 12-year-old birthday party years ago. They had a glow party in here. I don't ever really see it until I turn the lights off and there's some kind of fluorescent light or incandescent light or whatever you call it going. I can see all the glow paint that got on the floor. FloorTech solves all that. You can clean it forever, mop it, clean it up, make everything look nice. Y'all reach out to them and let them come show you how it works, show you why they're different, show you why they're better. And you can reach out to them at floortechcoatings.com. FloorTech Coatings. If you're trying to do one of those improvement projects this year, let the pros handle it. And don't put the cheap stuff down. You're going to be like me. It's going to pull loose. You're going to wind up hating it. Boy, it just looks terrible when it doesn't last. Put the stuff down that lasts. It's floortechcoatings.com. All right. What is this? I'm looking at my screen. I got squirreled, AJ. 2 dead in Mexico work for the CIA. I guess this isn't related to the shooting at Teotihuacan yesterday. Let me see if I can pick up on what this is. U.S. officials have confirmed that 2 Americans who died over the weekend in Mexico were initially alleged to be U.S. embassy staff, were in fact CIA workers. So we got the CIA on the ground, and they're probably gathering up info on these drug cartels. And man, there ought to be hell to pay in Mexico that we lost some people in an op like that. There's a brand new story right there as we work through the other developing stuff today. All right, let me get to, is it time for UFOs? This is craziness. So there's been all this talk. Let's talk about the missing scientists and the dead scientist. There's all this talk about this group of 11 that people have stitched together into what we believe is some kind of conspiracy to take out these scientists that had access to all this classified information. And when you talk and you look into some of their research, it tends to all be the common thread that goes through the backgrounds and the resumes of all these scientists is work in the area of UFOs, space technology, anti-gravity stuff, which may have been gleaned from this technology. So that leads to all the conspiracy theories. Now, I was listening to a Fox anchor today talk about this, and he had a good point that some of these don't quite fit. For example, when you look at the individual cases and try to pick holes in the fact that they're connected, because there clearly seems to be a pattern. The FBI's in on it. They see enough of a pattern to surge resources, and the president's been briefed, so something's going on. But until they give us more information, there's some things about some of these cases that don't seem to directly connect to, some kind of conspiracy to take them out. For example, the young lady that was working up in Huntsville at Redstone, who apparently died by suicide, but then family members did not believe it, and she apparently had been telling people she thought her life was in danger. But then later we find out that perhaps she had been diagnosed prior to that with some kind of mental disorder or some kind of mental health issues that may have led to her committing suicide. So maybe she was suicidal. Now, a real conspiracy theorist would go, well, maybe they did something to do her to drive her crazy and make her suicidal, because that's how they would do this stuff. If you really want to go straight up Tom Clancy, it's not going to be clean rifle shots. One guy was shot on his porch, but strangely by a guy who had also been on his property prior to that with a rifle, and they didn't know each other. So how does this happen twice to a scientist? Doesn't seem random, but yet we don't know. There's one of the other people that's on the list of 11 is he was one of the people killed at Brown University. You remember that shooting where the young lady from Mountain Brook was killed, and then this professor was targeted by that weirdo that stalked around campus and then barged into a building. Y'all remember that story? They were chasing him for a while, and it's a little fuzzy in my memory because it's been a minute. But I'm sitting here looking at the story, but at the same time, we never got a clear understanding of what would motivate this guy to be targeted. You know, if you go back and read the old Project Wormwood and all those projects, anytime if there's going to be an assassination by a government, sometimes they'll use a cutout. They'll use a crazy person. That's what makes people so suspicious about the Butler shooting of Trump, is this guy looked like he had been groomed to do what he did by handlers that needed plausible deniability. So in other words, the shooter gets caught. All you got to say was, oh, well, they're just crazy. They're just mentally ill. They'll use the mentally ill to pull these things off. There's a history there of our government doing it and other governments doing it. So I don't know. I can't be immediately dismissive, but some of these cases don't seem to connect. So if it was a random shooting at Brown University, well, then he doesn't belong on the list. Then the list gets smaller. And if the list gets smaller, does that mean the rest of them are not necessarily connected? It's a lot for us to short out with the little information we have, but we've got to trust Kash Patel and the FBI to get to the bottom of it. And then there's the UFO angle, which keeps popping up in the news. Of all the years we have been on the air with this radio show, what are we, AJ? We 17 years yet? We 16 plus, right? Mm-hmm. Together, you and I have talked about UFOs, and it used to be funny, and we'd make fun of it, and we'd have conspiracy weekend, and people would call up talking about getting probed and abducted, and that was all fun and games. But suddenly, I'm serious. It looks like there's something serious going on that we're on the verge of finding out that our government potentially has known for a long time, and we're just now going to find out about it. For example, this podcaster, Benny Johnson, who I don't watch his podcast, but I see a lot of clips from him, and he seems to be pretty reputable. He had a congressman on. This guy's name is Eric Burleson. I don't know where he's from. I don't see a state locator on Eric Burleson. He was on the Benny Johnson show, And he said, let me just summarize. I want you to hear him say it himself from that show. That we have found there has been either a crash landing or we have come across a massive craft of some type, a spaceship, whatever you want to call it. And it's so big that no one could move it. And so instead, the United States government, this is apparently in a foreign country, and we built a secret building around it, turned it into some kind of installation, he calls it. And he wouldn't say which country, because he was told this information inside a skiff. So the only vague information he can convey to us is there is a craft. The government knows about it. They're investigating it, maybe trying to reverse engineer it, but we built a big building around it and we're hiding it. Do you buy that? Let's listen to him. Tell what you think.
No, but he's out of Missouri.
Okay, this guy's out of Missouri. I don't know. He could be a crackpot. There are a lot of them in Congress. Here's him talking about that on the Benny Johnson show.
The fact that you have a clearance and you have the ability to go into a skiff or the capacity to go and sit in classified settings and get briefed on what the federal government has as far as UFO evidence. You made a claim this weekend that I thought was remarkable, a craft too big to move. Can you unpack that for us?
I was told that in a skiff and also outside of one, that there is a craft at a location in a foreign country that is too big to move. They built a building around it. It's in a foreign country, and it is a U.S. installation. I can't say anything more than that.
It's on like a U.S. military base installation.
I can't really say anything more than that. What I can say is that it would be quite a trip to get there. I'm going to continue to do research.
So what he doesn't do is put a timestamp on it and say when our government built this building around this thing and how long have we known about it. Because if we knew, say it was the last 5 years, if we built an installation somewhere, a giant building somewhere, that'd be easy to go back in time and know. So maybe this has gone on since the Roswell days. A lot of people believe the whole thing about Area 41 or 51. I say 41 because there's actually a pizza place called that's really good. But the place is Area 51 out in New Mexico and those areas out west. That some of that had to do with the Roswell crash, and that's why all that research is being done out there in this area, and it's top secret. I don't know. AJ, you buying any of this? Do we know about this? Does our government know about this, but they're afraid to tell us?
I mean, look, they might as well tell us because we're going to find out one way or another. We've been talking about aliens for years. You talk about the secret still at Area 51 in Nevada. You actually was close to that area.
Well, I went to Roswell's Alien Fest. They have a convention, an alien convention. I just happened to be going through Roswell and did a show there a long time ago. We had a good time. Crazy people, man.
Yeah.
Some people were fun about it. Some people nutty as a squirrel turd.
And I mean, and think about it. We're in this thing. We went to the far stretch of space. You mean to tell me, out of all these planets, right, and satellites, and whatever Pluto is, because they always change Pluto. I don't know if it's a planet, a satellite, or whatever.
Yeah, they keep dissing Pluto and making him a moon, man. Come on, leave Pluto alone.
Yeah.
He got nothing to do with this. He's been a planet. Let's leave him a planet.
Exactly.
He can identify as a planet if he wants to. There's anything I've learned in the last 5 years.
He's a transplant.
He's a transplant. Yes, exactly.
But you mean to tell me that there's no other living organisms out there in this vast thing called space? And we're the only ones. That's kind of crazy. And it's kind of creepy as well, too, that we're the only ones out there in this vast planet. And you mean to tell me they come here because we're the train wreck of society. You know,
they're just watching us like Jerry Springer.
Right. We're for their entertainment needs, you know.
What if we find out they're a television crew and they're beaming our crap back to their planet just for entertainment?
It's a pay-per-view.
Holy moly.
What is Earthlings going to get into this time?
Yikes.
Come in, same Earth time, same Earth channel.
I bet the ratings went up as soon as Trump got elected on whatever planet they're from. Trump's like, that's huge. I'm huge on Z9.
But that's how we get our leaders, because it's like American Idol, and they have to perform in front of them, and if
see if they met.
Right.
They've got a Simon Cowell that's an alien.
Oh my God, you're just wretched.
Seriously, someone in your life must tell you that you have no talent. Anyway, so here's a congressman. You got more and more members of our government. So you got Anna Paulina Luna kicking indoors, claiming that they're stalling. They won't reveal stuff that she knows they have. They've sent subpoenas and FOIA requests over to these agencies, Department of Defense and others, to get them to give nuggets or bits or pieces or to reveal documents. Trump says he's going to declassify everything, and he still hasn't done it. So I don't know, man. But, I buy the theory that as vast as the universe is, if we're all the life, then there's the biblical theory that we're what God made, and the rest of that's demons. Who knows? I mean, that's the total biblical theory. If there is other stuff, it's the devil. That's the way my grandmother would put it. Y'all, I don't know, but I've never seen so much speculation being sort of built towards something we're being prepped for something. I just get a sense of it. There's leaks and info and weird stuff and things going down on a pace that I've never seen. Perhaps it's just the internet. Perhaps I'm a victim of algorithms. But there we go. A giant spaceship. I'm going to call it a spaceship because he just says craft. That is too big to move, so we built the base around it and we're hiding it.
You mean to tell me with all these machinery that we got, right? We can't move.
We can't move it.
A spaceship, and it's that big that none of us saw. Be like, hey, that's a ship. That's the Star Trek Enterprise.
Maybe they built it out of some material that we don't know about. It's too heavy to lift. It's just too dense. Can't move it. Like, I've known some people like that.
They probably need to reach out to Crocker. That's what they need.
Yeah, that's true. CrockerMovingServices.com. CrockerMovingServices.com. Alabama Dental. Let's talk about your teeth. Y'all go see them and get this appointment and make it happen. I'll keep nudging you every single night. But if you haven't been in a while and you need a new dentist or whatnot, this is such an excellent practice. They've been with us for years. Total pros, excellent at what they do. 4 dentists in the practice. The extended hours, we tell you about that every night till 7 at night. They're there on the weekends. They do Saturday hours. All this is just so you and I can take care of ourselves. I don't know of another medical practice that gives these kind of crazy good hours. And with those 4 dentists, you get 4 different specialists so they can handle anything you bring in the door. And they've invested in all the technology for both diagnosis and treatment. They can get to the bottom of a lot of stuff. Teeth grinding, snoring, all these things that people tend to have that can be issues that just nag you. Go see them. Go see Dr. Brian and the whole team at my dentist, alabamadental.com, alabamadental.com. Back in a minute. All right, y'all, about 5 minutes in front of the hour, Alabama Gold Refinery, there for you if you want to get in the gold game or silver, platinum, any of these precious metals. You know, years ago, I remember I had this extra piece, and I thought, I don't need that. It was an old ring, and I thought I should just take it somewhere and sell it. I didn't know where to go, and I'd go to just some jewelry stores. They'd lowball me. I wasn't going to walk in a pawn shop. I wasn't sure what they would do. I didn't know that there were places like this. It's just an exchange. They're in the precious metals business. They'll just work with you and take care of it and help you out. So y'all reach out to them if you want to start collecting and adding some of your wealth into the ownership of precious metals, or you got some scrap and you want to sell while we're approaching 5,000 again. Gold, we've seen it hit, I think, close to 54. We're kind of in between the low and the high of late, so still a good opportunity. It always holds its own value. It's always sellable, transportable. You can store wealth in secret. There are even some tax incentives in these transactions that Steve can explain to you. And he alone is just a wealth of knowledge and a good person to know if you want to do these kind of trades from time to time. So go see them in Homewood. They're on 29th. They're in downtown, central location across from the big Regions Bank on 29th. It's Alabama Gold Refinery, AGR, alabamagoldrefinery.com. All right, Michael's up next. He's got a UFO call. What's up, Michael?
The answer to the question that you're asking, if there's anybody else, I think that the reveal is about to happen. I don't know if you saw Spielberg's upcoming movie, but I think that's the whole point, is to soften us up.
Yeah, isn't that movie called The Reveal, or what's the name of that movie?
Or something. I don't know. I don't know the details on it, but the trailer looks good. And when we were talking about this, y'all were talking about it, I said, "It's got to be what this is." They're letting us know. They're softening us up with this movie.
They're shaping the battlefield. They're shaping the message ahead of time, and we get it in our conversation. It's probably not as big a shock when we find out.
I hope I helped with that observation.
Well, I think you have, but I get the same sense you do. It's just this pattern. Now, I remember this in the 70s. I remember being a kid. Maybe it's just because I was a kid. AJ, this is a true story. What happened? I'm telling you with my hand up. So there were all these UFO sightings in the, I guess, late 70s, early 80s. And I remember these people kept seeing something in an area not far from where I lived. So my dad decided to get us all in the car. Hey, thanks, Michael. My dad decided to get us all in the car and take us over. I remember Miss Diana's house. She was a friend of the family. Remember, we go to her house, and we were standing in the backyard. AJ, I'm tripping because I'm like 7 or 8. I'm tripping because we're supposed to be looking up in the sky because people keep seeing something in the sky at night. I wish I knew the year. I just remember I was a little kid. And I didn't realize she had a set of train tracks right behind her house. And suddenly the train started rolling up. And I thought it was the UFO. I thought I was seeing it. I thought it was landing. It freaked me out, man. It was just a train. But I have this memory because I remember it was in the news. There were these sightings and it was contagious, and that was before social media. But this pattern of reveals and congressional concern and just nonstop conversation about it, like he said, Spielberg in the movie coming out, Obama said something about it a while back, Trump's been alluding to it. None of them in government are denying that there's something there. We just don't know what it is yet. I don't know. Crazy town. And then we got all these scientists that are supposedly connected to it going missing because they were going to say something or had something or knew something. It's craziness, man. All right, back in a minute. Leland Live, Talk 99.5.